a couple things I wanted to point out about this setup, some of the good points and some of the things that I would probably change if I had again some things that I want to adjust on it. One thing to point out is the speed and power with which this arm goes up and down is going to be controlled by the speed and power of the actuator, speed being centimeters or inches per second, and the power rated in pounds or kilograms, I guess, of force. This one of this line is the fastest but least powerful. It's 110 pounds, which seemed to be plenty powerful. But this is going to be controlled by the speed and power of this and the amount of leverage you give it. So the length of this arm here. This arm is pretty long. It's a lot longer than a lot of the arms that I've seen on other bikes, which tend to be even maybe about half as long. So my setup may just be a little bit, this might be too long and I need to adjust it. But it's plenty powerful, and it will actually pick me and the bike up if we're slightly leaned over. You know, if I start to fall over and I don't have this down quite all the way and then it catches me, it'll just pop the bike right back up. So I've found that it's been plenty powerful. So the bike's leaned over right now a little bit, and if I just hit the button, boom, it just picks the bike right back up. And I actually like the speed of it. It goes up plenty fast. If you're at a T intersection and you need to start off and turn immediately, as soon as I start rolling, I hit the button and this starts coming up, and it gives me plenty of space to lean over as it's coming up. And the other thing is, if it were too fast, I could see it being a problem coming up to an intersection where the road is not level and where it's angled to the side like this, because when these arms touch down, it's going to force the bike to the angle of the road, and if it's too fast and it forces it too hard, it really could kind of throw you off. But I try not to let the wheels touch down until I'm going really slow. I mean, pretty much under 5 miles an hour for sure. The other issue with this setup, I think, is that everything is kind of hanging off to the side here, with the actuator being off to the side. It's nice because I didn't have to really do much modification to the bike at all, but it leaves everything exposed. So if I were to fall over on this side, I've got the actuator sitting over here in the bracket, so it could cause some damage. But hopefully this being out this far will protect it from really damaging stuff. So the other issue with this setup and the way I've placed everything here is with foot placement. This kind of gets in the way of where my foot should be, so I kind of calculated wrong. So let me show you the problem. With this arm being as long as it is and being right behind my foot, is I can't get my foot far enough back on the peg. So I've got my heel here. We made this other little sort of peg here and this piece to kind of protect the shifter, because my toe kept riding up on the shifter and causing the bike not to shift. And so it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure against the shifter to make it so it can't actually shift the bike. So this is what it looks like with the boot on here and how far forward it is. So as you can see, I can't get my foot back far enough, so the idea is to shorten up that arm and shorten up the actuator so my boot can actually go back, you know, where it should be. The other idea also, once that gets taken care of, is to use an aluminum tab here with basically a bicycle toe clip to hold my foot from sliding forward, and then I'll use a strap that goes around my heel so my foot can't come off, you know, like maybe a sort of a bungee cord type setup in the back, and that'll make it a little bit easier to get strapped on. One other thing to point out with this aluminum arm here is originally I just had this clamped on, and it worked okay until one time this bar basically slipped through here. Most of the other setups I see just have like a metal tab welded on. This one we clamped on, but I've got a bolt through it now, threaded through this and this, so it can't actually slip, which I should have done in the first place. But so if you use a clamp on arm, make sure you either put a dowel pin or put a bolt so it won't slip. When you have the arm fully extended, so this is basically all the way down, you still want to have a couple degrees of angle towards the back. That way, you know, when you're hitting bumps or anything like that, it doesn't really upset the bike. I think if you had it straight up and down, you could run into some issues, and it just seems to work a little bit better if in the full down position you've got a couple degrees back. Here I just wanted to show the button arrangement. On the clutch side is the shifter buttons up and down. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of room. I had to move this as far in as I could and move this to make room for the button. Even though this button unit is really narrow, it still pretty much takes up all the room that you can get on at least these bars. These are Healy bars. I put a gear indicator here because originally when I didn't have that piece protecting the shifter and my foot would hit it, I'd think I'm shifting to the next gear and I wasn't getting the gear. So I just kind of put that there to help me out with that. And then over on the other side here, I've got the actuator buttons, the same button unit that I use for the shifter, but that controls the actuator. And it seems to work fine having the actuator on the throttle side and the shifter on the clutch side. Alright, this is I don't know if you can hear, but this is a video of the shifter, and to arm it, you hold one of the buttons down for 5 seconds, and that'll arm the shifter. There's first, and if I just tap it, it's back in neutral. Down to first, just tap it up into neutral.